we had the women's tag match. Now, this was Mina Shirakawa and Hanako. Again, Hanako is a younger wrestler who is on an excursion in the United States. She did not take part in the 5-Star Grand Prix. And of course, Mina has been a peripheral part of the Mariah May, Tony Storm storyline. She's been working with Ring of Honor and AEW. On the other side of that, Viva Van, who is actually Mina's tag partner back at the Windy City Riot, and Trisha Dora. And okay, let's break this one down. So,
Sure.
Mina and Hanako did very well. I thought Viva Van and Mina looked really good together. And Trisha Dora, man, she has a long way to go. She did not look good in this match at all. Her chops, kicks, everything looked very weak, very hesitant, and just seemed like she was not on the level of the others. And Viva has been a struggle in some other matches too, but she and Shirakawa actually looked pretty good in there together when they were doing some things tagged in with one another. Hanako is a young talent, but a talented woman, abnormally tall for a Joshi. She's almost 6 feet tall, and but moves well. And double submission for the Japanese team, the Stardom team. Shirakawa got a figure 4 on Van. I believe Hanako got the torture rack on Trisha Dora. When 3 of them were in there, it was pretty good. When Trish was in there, it was a tough slog to go.
So there were parts of this match that I got distracted with something that was going on personally that made me like just not enough to focus on it. But I noticed there were a couple of things about Hanako deferring to Mina with her belt and a couple other things at the very end that made me think that they were positioning Mina. Something you suggested earlier, I think last week or yesterday on the show, that she is a possible challenger for the strong title or the IWGP title. And they certainly did what they could to position her like that tonight and then did nothing with it.
She was definitely the star of this show. You're right. And the reason I thought about it was Windy City Riot, Alex Windsor was the star of the early in the night tag match. She ended up challenging. You remember how she challenged later on in the night, came back out and made the challenge. Just I thought maybe they'd continue that pattern the same way New Japan does often. If there's a special challenge singles match in the middle of the card, then the winner of that one is probably going to poke his head out through the curtain again after the main event, right? But not in this case, as it turns out. They might have other plans.
So there were a couple of thoughts that I had about this, and we won't spend too much time on it because there isn't a whole lot to talk about on a bunch of these other things. Mina was one of 3 talents to pull a Rick Rude tonight on AEW Rampage, along with Grizzled Young Vets and Leo Rush. All 3 of them were all on AEW Rampage tonight. There is a sense that whatever big might potentially happen with Mina Shirakawa probably going to happen on AEW because of the reach and the exposure. So there is a limit to exactly what she can accomplish here, especially feuding with Mercedes Moné, who's already in AEW. And since there's stuff with Tony Storm and Mariah May, it's messy. And so there's a ceiling to what Mina Shirakawa can do right now on the New Japan product. However, the charisma and the star power of her on these cards is so staggering that it is undeniable. You know, she just comes out there and she elevates the product that she's in. And it's one of those things that when people ask what it is, Mina has it. You know what I mean? Like as a pro wrestler, like the whole thing is right there and it can deliver on a worldwide stage. And hell, man, I wouldn't even be shocked if like a WWE offer came towards her way at the way that she's been going once she goes freelance, all bets are off on her. But right now, I don't think that New Japan is going to be able to maximize her as a talent or take her as far as they want to. So maybe they're holding, like putting the brakes on that and just letting it build until the time that they can. Because I don't think now's the right time.
Mina is not as young as some of the other Stardom talents. There's a lot of talent in their early to mid 20s, and we don't know exactly how old Mina is. That's been kind of kept close to the vest, but we believe like mid, maybe late 30s. So if she gets a chance to cash in on a big contract, might be time for her to do it. And so the timing of this run where she's really looking like a star in North America might be the best thing for her there. So we'll see how that goes in the future. But I mean, she is a star in Stardom already. It's not like they aren't using her, but an Okada-esque run like in your late 30s where you cash in the big 4-year deal, that may be in Shirakawa's future.
The exposure that she's had in the last 4 months of her career is massive compared to the amount of exposure she's had up to this point. And that's not to say that she hasn't had a lot of exposure. It's just the AEW access has been massive for her.
And the other thing I'll say about Hanako real quick here on Excursion and learning a different way to work crowds. The American crowd's very, very different than Japanese crowds. And that's just another little weapon in her arsenal to know how to get the fans into it, a different kind of fans into it in a different way. And then you can translate that back to Japan. And she's already pretty talented physically. But that was the thing I noticed about her is like, okay, all these matches in the US, she's starting to learn how to interact with an American audience. If you can take little bits of that, bring it back to Japan and get the Japanese crowd into it too, that could help her also.
You know who Hanako kind of reminds me of? And I don't know if this comparison is appropriate or even like might get me in trouble, but I don't think it will. She kind of reminds me of Hikuleo.
Tall?
Well, just like the way that she moves around in the ring is not cumbersome, but lumbering and intimidating, but also it works. Mm-hmm. Like it just like she's imposing on other wrestlers, but in a way that she still has like life and movement.
I believe she's the tallest Joshi at the moment. Like just as she's the tallest Joshi. So use that. I mean, if there's something that makes you unique, use it.
So that was just what I was thinking about. I'm like, she kind of reminds me of that, but I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for saying